Black Brilliance, shining light on people of color you may not know. Black Brilliance highlights a world community advocate, native New Yorker, public affairs administrator, nonprofit and operations management professional, and a small business owner. Black Brilliance applauds Candace Prince Modeste.
I am Candace Prince Modeste, President of the Jamaica branch NAACP, and this is Black Brilliance. The mission of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People is to protect and uphold and uplift the economic, social, political, health, overall well-being of Blacks in America. I think what influenced me to make a change was as I befriended folks who didn't look like me. I would go to their house, I would hang out with them, meet their families. I realized that there was no difference between what they were doing and what I was doing. There was no difference between what their neighbors were doing and what my neighbors were doing. So why was it that the school I was going to in Bayside was so much better than the school that I had been transferred out of? Like, why is it that their supermarkets looked so much nicer and had so much more available than my supermarket over here in South Jamaica? Why did their roads seem a little bit nicer? Why did their houses seem a little nicer? But these are regular people, and as far as I can tell, my neighbors and friends are regular people too. So even from a young age, I think you can really pick up on those small but significant differences. And as you get older, work towards finding people, finding ways, methods, and resources to equalize the playing field for everyone.
Praise Him. This is your man, Raleigh Hall. We, Black Brilliance, illuminate from our dark, bold, and beautiful beings His brilliance.
I think that I was one of those kids who, I won't say we were poor. We didn't have everything, but I didn't know it. My parents, I came to find out later on in life that my parents struggled tremendously. I didn't know it. I had no clue. We lived in a single family home for the majority of my life. I had a yard, I had a bicycle. We traveled frequently. Did I have Nikes? No. Did I have Reeboks or Air Jordans? No. Did we eat steak for dinner? No. But I had a very fulfilling childhood, and I think that's a testament to my parents and parents all over the world who make life amazing for their kids and kind of shield them from the realities of whatever life is. I didn't know that my parents struggled the way that they did, and I'm so grateful for that. My husband makes fun of me all the time and, tells me I'm a Disney kid. I'm absolutely a Disney kid. There are plenty of movies I still to this day have never seen because I wasn't allowed to see them because my parents thought they were inappropriate. I was absolutely sheltered as a kid. I think that I was shy. I know I was shy. I was awkward. I was scared to speak in front of crowds, in front of groups. I knew I was smart. But as a teenager, smart doesn't equate to popular. And I was definitely not popular. I knew I was popular adjacent, like I knew them, but didn't necessarily hang out with the popular kids. I don't think I had much self-esteem at all as a teenager. That came, I couldn't even tell you, but it definitely wasn't during my teenage years, no.
God is light, and we are birthed in darkness, filled with the light of His love, immeasurably so, that it is said that some saints visibly glow.
Even today at 38, it comes and goes, it ebbs and flows. I'm still shy. Most people don't believe that. I'm very much an introvert. A lot of people don't believe that about me. I love being by myself. Achieving high self-esteem, I think, is an ongoing thing that we all work towards. And I know I don't believe that I'm there just yet. Somewhere along the lines, I realized that I couldn't just occupy this space in life and solely benefit from whatever it was that I can offer to the world, to my family, so on and so forth. And it's hard to pinpoint exactly when I made that realization. Certainly my father, he was civically minded. I used to see him go to some of his civic organizations, to their meetings. He would bring me along to some of the fundraisers sometimes. Actually at one point he had me typing up his treasurer's reports. So I think little things like that, you kind of almost, even though he never told me this is what you had to do or this is what I expect of you, getting into a routine like that after a while, I think conditions you to find your own civic organizations or find your own community-based efforts locally. And so I think naturally that's what happened. Once I graduated college and I had some free time, I looked around and said, okay, what else is there to do? So I went to SUNY Stony Brook for undergraduate, and my major was political science. What made me choose political science was I remember sitting down in my room with the big book that they give you during your first year. It lists out all the majors that the school offers, and I was trying to decide between 3 majors: marine biology, sociology, and political science. I don't recall exactly why I liked sociology. I mean, sociology is the study of people and relationships and so forth. But at that time, something about it intrigued me. Marine biology, I was definitely a little bit of a nerd. I liked animals, I liked science, I liked, all that. But I just kept picturing myself like in this little dinghy off the coast of Seattle in like this wetsuit, and I didn't know, how I was gonna get my hair done or my nails, and I was cold, and so crossed off sociology, and political science stuck. With political science, it was very clear to me what sort of career you can follow with that sort of degree. And they were careers that were tangible. I may not have necessarily known people in that space, but I knew of people. Whereas I couldn't, at least at the time, I didn't know too many people with a sociology degree. I didn't know what exactly you did with a sociology degree. Could you make money? Could you support a family? Like, it just sounded like one of those things you just do when you have nothing to do. What also struck me about political science was that the more I got into it, the more I realized that almost every single thing we do in life, there's some factor or facet of government involved in it. Whether or not people want to agree, whether or not people want to accept it, government plays a role in everything that we do. And if I want to be the type of person that wants to have an impact on people's lives, change them for the better, why not get into political science? Why not get into government and public policy? Maybe law, maybe run for office one day. But that if I wanted to be a change agent, political science was definitely where I needed to be. Role models who I saw within the political science realm as well as outside of it, I distinctly remember, so I was part of an organization called Top Teens of America, which is under another organization called Top Ladies of America, which I'm now a part of. We had our scholarship luncheon in May of 2000, and one of the attendees was then Senator Malcolm Smith. At that time, I don't think I was strongly considering political science at all, but I remember seeing him. I have pictures with him, and I just remember looking at this person and saying, wow, like that's somebody important, and they're standing here next to me, and I'm sure they make important decisions every day, and I wonder what it would be like to do a job like that or work with someone like that. So that's definitely an experience that stuck out for me. That was definitely someone who impressed me, and you could see it. He was very charismatic. He went around to the entire room, said hello, shook hands, and you could see like the room light up and everybody kind of stand up and take notice when he came in. And a part of me was kind of like, oh, he kind of came in to see us. Like he's here because of, you know, us as graduates, or us because of our organization. So that was definitely a memorable experience. So I am fortunate, have been fortunate for a long time to have a lot of well-connected, highly resourceful, and highly effective people in my circle. And so when it was time to put together the swearing-in ceremony for the NAACP back in February of 2019, we were looking around for someone who'd be appropriate to swear us in. If I'm not mistaken, the person who came up with Judge Braithwaite was Margaret Denson, Mama Denson, as many folks know her. And I mentioned to Miss Denson, you know, that would be amazing, because as history would have it, she and I actually used to attend the same church way back when. I remembered her back then at St. Gabriel's in Hollis. I doubt she remembered me, but I figured she would remember my mother because they both have the same first name. And so Miss Denson did what Miss Denson does, and Judge Nelson was able to come and officiate. And it was interesting too, you know, I think in working in public service, sometimes you take for granted the people who come and go. I remember being at the ceremony, and or probably afterwards, a few people asked me, how did you get Judge Nelson there? How did you get this person there and that person there? And I didn't understand what the big commotion was. But looking back at it now, you realize, again, how much you take for granted sometimes, and how much access you have to important people in this community, in this state, and that people would take notice and still take notice when someone like a Justice Nelson walks in the door. So I'm tremendously grateful that she was able to come and spend some time with us that afternoon, and it's cemented in history now. Thinking back on it now, it certainly gives me pause that a woman who is a history maker in her own right in the state of New York, certainly in Queens and Southeast Queens, as a sitting Supreme Court judge, thought it not robbery to come spend an hour or so of her time swearing me in as the youngest ever president of the Jamaica branch of the NAACP. That day was definitely filled with a lot of history and history makers. Even I was fortunate enough to have the late Archie Spigner in attendance. Anyone, certainly in Queens and Southeast Queens and New York City, and probably in New York State, knows that Archie Spigner was the first Black city council member from his district, and that was back in the 70s. So again, a lot of history in that room, a lot of history making going on in that room. And so when I think about all this fuss over me, you know, when you've got all these other folks mulling around, these movers and shakers and you know, change agents, and then I just kind of see me over in the corner. It's something special, definitely. Something I definitely appreciate, and I, you know, definitely treasure that moment. So I received a well wish, And this is what it says. If you love someone, tell them. Life is too short to wonder. This is from Claudia Kumsen. It's definitely a reminder to not take people for granted, and that if someone is important in your life, you need to treat them as such. And I think conversely, if someone isn't so important in your life, if you can't find a value or some sort of value in that person, then perhaps it's time to cut short that relationship, because that's time that you could be spending with someone else who does want to be around you, or someone else who is perhaps better worth your time. I appreciate sincerity. I appreciate meeting people who are honest about their capacity. I appreciate people who recognize that they don't have all the answers, but they're willing to try to figure it out. I love meeting people who know they're not the smartest in the room, but they know that they have attributes about them that will help them get where they need to be. I also appreciate meeting people who understand that there's no way they could ever do what they've done by themselves, and are always looking to build and grow their team.
And this is your man, Raleigh Hall. Shine. What's your name? Shine. Black brilliance.